from Golos. I'm sure you're aware of that. It's taken, a distinct part of our history. It was planned by Hashem from the very beginning. When in the Bereshit story, when it narrates what the world was like in its beginning, it's described as tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom. Okay, it's described as being chaotic, dark, formless on the face of the depths. And the Gemara tells us, quoted by Ramban and others, that each one of these words of desolation hint at another one of the exiles. So what's exile about? Why was it planned at the beginning? Exile, the word galut, is related linguistically to the verb lehi galot, which means to reveal. The function of exile is that you figure out who you don't want to be and what you're not, in order that you discover who you are and what you want to be. So to me this seemed like a davar pashut, and for you, like I would look with some disdain. I saw in the Meshech Chochmah, some of you may have heard this or seen this as well, that the Reform Jews in Berlin at one point took all references to the Geula, to Yerushalayim, to the Beis HaMikdash out of their siddur, because they said Berlin is our Jerusalem. And the Meshech Chochmah said they're going to regret this. And I looked at this with some disdain. I thought, how do they think that? And then, just last night, I have to confess, when I grade papers, I listen only to classical music, not to full music. Because grading papers is so whatever. So I was listening to Beethoven's Nine, and how many of you, do you know it? Some of you, it's very beautiful. Yes. And at the end there's singing, there are words. And I never paid much attention to this. I always assumed, I shouldn't be listening to this, this must be something like clerical. So let's just ignore this, I don't understand it anyway. But I decided I'm going to find out how bad is it, what are they really saying? It's so beautiful, it wasn't Christian at all, it was delightful. It was like, reach out your heart and love the millions, okay? Wow, and it was like a quote from Schiller, and I got the picture, and I fully understood the Jews of Germany. I fully understood them for that moment. Okay, so the world that we have to say, not this, has a great deal of appeal, a great deal of emotional, not just external glitz. It has a lot. Maharal says Geula is becoming who you really are. So we've been in Golos long enough to figure out who we aren't, because we keep on having to learn the hard way. The Goliot are all doubled, right? Golos Bavel was not just Nebuchadnezzar. Before him, good mention, you have Ashur that expelled 10 of the tribes who are now lost. Paras, Persia was Paras Umadai. Yavan was Yavan and Mukta, Macedonia. And now, as the Gemara tells us, we're in Edom and Yishmael. And the tragedies that we hear about every other day, every week, okay, we consider it to be a very good month if there's been nothing tragic and repulsive. Okay, all of this is to force us into discovery of who we are. So I'm going to read you a little bit of Reb Nachman about who we are. So for those of you who have a great need to know Likutei Moharan, okay, I'm reading you now from Torah, a moment, from Torah Samach Vav. Okay, let me just get to the right place. Samach Vav, or is it Samach He, which is it? It's Samach He, not Samach Vav, excuse me. Okay, so he says, he gives us a parable, and the parable is very engaging and beautiful. He says, and know that there's a field, and in this field there are trees and grass, and they're very beautiful and pleasant. And the beauty of the field is indescribable. And these trees, these various forms of grasses, are really neshamas. The neshamas are holy and they grow, and some of the neshamas in the field are naked, and some of them are blown out of the field, and they're waiting for rectification. They want to go back to their place. And there could be a great neshama upon which various neshamas are dependent. And sometimes the tikkun will come, in the course of life, and sometimes only through death. Okay, so a person who wants to be able to say, I want to be with the master of the field, a person like that has to be able to say, I'm going to be stubborn, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to have the lessons with the real tzaddikim in front of me all of the time. And these neshamas, who are all of us, they make fruit. And these fruits give tremendous light to the eyes of the master of the field. And he sees this. And this is what's meant when Bilam said, Sedei Tzofim, the field where things could be seen. Okay? Every word of tefillah becomes an act, something that returns the field to its primal beauty. And Hashem on his side wants to see the words come alive as we daven. When we speak the words of tefillah, then Hashem gathers all of the blossoms, all of the flowers. When a person walks in this field, they could actually pick the flowers, pick the roses one by one, and make them into a bouquet. And after that, he could take more and more, make more and more bouquets. And all of these bouquets are actually the letters and the words of the tefillahs that we say. And they come together. Sometimes two words come together, and that makes a more beautiful gathering. Sometimes it's only one letter. Sometimes you could say, I'm going to pick this bouquet, and it's called Avos. And then I'm going to move it on to the next bouquet, which is called Gvuros. And from Gvuros to Kedushas Hashem until you finish the whole tefillah. But sometimes all you have is a few words. So that's the fragment of the Torah I wanted you to hear. We don't realize the importance of our tefillahs, the importance of our tehillim. We don't realize our own beauty. We don't realize our own chashivas. We don't realize that a person is called a nefesh chaya, which means ruach mamalim, a speaking soul. The words that we speak give expression to our soul. And Hashem sees our beauty far more than we see our own beauty. We see so much of our own ugliness, so much of our own failure, so much of our own inability to cope. We see this all of the time. Hashem sees the beauty of each one of the blades of grass, each one of the flowers. And this beauty is articulated through the words of tefillah. So when you ask what's so special about Tehillim, so the word Adam is actually an acronym for Adam, David, Mashiach. It spells out the word Adam. What do these three people have in common? What does it have to do with us? So Adam was the source of all souls. The source of all of us. What did he do in Gan Eden? He was there such a short time. So to us, if you just hang out, it was barely there, whatever. It says that he was offering sacrifices, not animal sacrifices like we're familiar with later in the Torah. The word sacrifice, korban, comes from the word karov. He was taking what's far and making it near. He was taking the physical world with all of its beauty and all of its illusion and making it near, drawing it close to Hashem. How? How did he do this? He did this through using words, through saying a bracha. That's a korban. You take what's far and you make it near. So Adam was the soul that contained all of the future souls of every person who will be born. In the Zohar Kodesh they say, derech remez, the same way the human body has infinite pores and tiny little hairs that you could barely see. From Adam springs all of the future souls of every person who will ever live. He gave 70 years of his life to David. So what does that mean? It means that David also was a neshama kolelet. He had within him the potentials of every person. This is why his life was so extremely multifaceted. He had any experience you could imagine. He had people who were loyal to him and loving and whatever, and people who betrayed him in ways that are unspeakable. He had deep love of people who were close to him, but he also had, again, Avshalom and various other tsaras within his own family. Okay, one of the things that united all of the aspects of David's personality was what? was what we'll call now Geula. Geula is the ability to be yourself. He was always himself. And who was he? He was a Mavakesh Hashem, which we all are. We all want Hashem. We all want the source of all goodness. This is what Geula means. So when you pick up a Tehillim, even randomly, David doesn't always say, well, today was a great day, and yesterday was like even better, and you hear it, you hear the pain. But these Tehillot end with, but I trust in you, but I love you, but you deal well with me. Why? Because that's the truth. Not because it's a good way to end it, but because it's the truth. Part of being in a neshama kolelet could be seen with the last letter of the acronym, Mashiach. So the Gemara says that part of the process of redemption is knowing Mashiach's name. Does that do you any good? Is it okay, everything's so great, just figure out his name? No. So, like, if Mashiach is the name of a nut store in Geula. Okay, but, so, like, I still remember once I was there, I didn't notice the name of the store, just bought some nuts, and I gave the woman behind the counter a big bill. I said, I don't have change, but wait a minute, Mashiach will soon be here. Okay.
You gave it the right note.
Okay, yes. This happened to once in South Africa. So I said these words, Mashiach will soon be here. From the stage, so this little old lady who couldn't find the front entrance came in, with her little pocket. It was so anticlimactic. It was beautiful. Okay. So we're talking about Mashiach and his names. So the Gemara presents us with a selection of possible names. One name is Chizkiah, another name is Menachem, and then Rav Shilo says his name is Shiloh. And then Rav Ami says no, his name is Ami. And then a conclusion the Gemara has is he's called Bar Napli, which means the miscarried child, the miscarried son. What's this machloket about? Maharal explains it. The first two names are fairly evident. He's called Chizkiah because we're so weak. How many of you really feel weak and overwhelmed? Be honest a minute. We're so weak. And as the Geula comes on, we get weaker and weaker and weaker. Is that not so? And that's part of the plan. Because it says, before Mashiach comes, we're going to be able to say sincerely, we have nobody to turn to but Hashem. Okay, clear? Yet we get weaker and weaker, things that we looked up to and idealized. It says this in the Gemara, monetary systems, political systems. Do you realize we're having an election soon? Does anybody think it really makes a difference? I mean, it's just like, okay, whatever. So, we become weak, so Mashiach will give us strength. Another name, which in some ways is deeper, is Menachem. We don't understand a lot of things. Is that true? There are so many things that pass over us in life that we try to live with, and we try to have simcha in them because we know Hashem does everything for the good. But in the end, we don't know. Mashiach will reveal to us all of the unsolvable riddles, and that will comfort us. But then Rav Shilo says his name is Shiloh, and Rav Ami says his name is Ami. What's that all about? So I want to tell you, because this is relevant to us. Everybody has a redeemable spark, a messianic self, a self that wants Geula, a self that wants to be the highest self, a self that wants to be in the Sada and say the words and make a connection to Hashem. Everybody has that. Everybody will feel understood by Mashiach. Will say, he's like me. Rav Shilo will say, he's like me, but not the Rav Shilo in the lesser self. The Rav Shilo who's deep on the inside, but that he'll recognize as uniquely himself. Ami will say, he's Ami. He's like me. Okay. But finally, and this is where we are right now, he's called Bar Napli, the miscarried child. What does that mean? When a woman is pregnant, she looks forward to giving birth to a healthy child at the end of 9 months, but it doesn't happen sometimes. So there are so many times when we thought Mashiach is going to be here this minute. After the Holocaust, everybody thought Mashiach would be here. Okay? But there were other times in our history we thought it's got to be now, or it's got to be this one, or it's got to be that one. And the Gemara says this. It could have been Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda. It could have been this one. It could have been that one. As strongly as Rambam says, don't make cheshbonos. He made a cheshbon. It's one of his igros. Okay, and we're disappointed again and again. Is that true? But the disappointment itself is something healthy, because the disappointment says, okay, it wasn't, we want it, and we want it now. And we're willing to find the words, and we're willing to use the words of David HaMelech, which are universal words. And we're willing to believe that each one of us is purposeful and is part of this. And when we look for Geulas HaPrat, each one of us, again, is a tree or a leaf in this field. We'll recognize at some point that that's dependent on Geulas HaKlal. So this is why saying Tehillim is something that by its nature leads you to that place and expresses your longing. So with that, we'll be doing, I don't know the whole technique of the evening, but it's going to include Tehillim. And this is what we're up to right now.